Okay, hello everyone. George Webb, and I am in the shizzle. I'm in the hizzy. I'm in the house. We got Tyrone here on the board. We've got the AI Whisperer here. We've got Mark, the Incredible, here, and the Super Jew Aaron Adler. So we got them all, right? Tyrone, we got everybody here. Tyrone's going to cut in here maybe and give it.
Yeah, everybody's here.
All right, all right. So today what we're going to do is basically socialize the story. I normally don't have the benefit of having the big whiteboard. I normally don't get to have a great sound guy. I don't normally have the AI whisperer who helps me do data modeling and reminds me of my Bayesian mathematical models. I don't have the experience of Mark, who owns this place and also has a tremendous amount of experience on watching other social media platforms to let me know stuff that's going on, along with the Super Jew. So I got them all. So this is great being here. And it's a little bit rainy today, which is good because that's why we're in the studio. That's why we have the studio. And we're having a Second Amendment training class next door, 12 card carrying, concealed weapon carrying citizens. So I don't think Antifa is going to give us any problem. Mark, would you like to add anything? Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, but he'll be there. He'll be there. So the awesome piece of this is we're getting people coming in from all over the country. We got the Karma Doc, America's frontline doctor, the only real one. And we have people like that, and we can't go through all their names and all their qualifications, but they all come in and add their expertise. And you might not think that that makes a difference. You might not think, oh, well, everybody's just coming in and throwing in their pet theory or their pet conspiracy theory, whatever. That's not the case. Actually, it helps analyze the data. It helps us make insights from the data. It helps us take the tremendous volume that we have of video that's coming our direction from these different cities that we've asked for the video, and helps us hone our search in so we can help complete the story. So I wrote a Substack this morning, and the Substack basically is, get ready for this one. All stories have a beginning and a middle and an end. I know, I'm really glad I got on a limb there. All stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you're told a story that you're supposed to believe, you should make it have those three requirements. It should be like a three-legged stool. It should be the beginning, middle, and end, right? Dorothy, there's a tornado. She gets thrown to the land where she's lost. She has to find the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz gets her home. That's the beginning and the middle and the end. If it was just Dorothy out in a poppy field, dressed up with three guys who've dressed up for Halloween as the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and a lion, and she spends the night in a poppy field, that's the middle of the story. You would think, hey, this isn't something we want to celebrate every Halloween. This isn't something we want to celebrate every Thanksgiving. Every story needs a beginning and a middle and an end. But I'll submit to you that you only, and I think one of those Greek playwrights said, every story needs a beginning and a middle and an end, and not necessarily in that order. Like Odysseus starts in the middle. Right, so the key here is the story you've been told, the story America has been told about Crooks, the rooftop shooter in Butler. We're not far from there. We may be going there this week to begin a rooftop shooter series. The story you've been told is just the middle of the story. You've not been told the start, you've not been told the end. And that makes it not a story. That makes it a fantasy. That makes it a narrative. That makes it something that somebody's carved out to make you believe something that's false, but it doesn't make it true, right? So what we've done is we basically charted the story as you know it. You know, Charlie's sitting here, right? He's in the middle of the amphitheater, the thing that causes all the echoes and so forth. Tyler's on the roof, right? So those are the two pieces I think everybody's agreed on, not a lot of disagreement in our story with those two key pieces. And then we all know about this boulevard named Campus running like a snake through the story, and there's a magic snake here, Magic Campus Boulevard, because every time Tyler crosses Campus Boulevard, we seem to lose track of Tyler, right? It seems like, where did Tyler go? Hey, wait a minute, why don't we have cameras on the other side of campus? Anyway, and along this story, just to put the pieces of the story together for you, we have sort of, you've seen when Tyler crosses after he shoots, he runs across this building, there's this little rectangular thing. He makes this combat roll and he comes off the thing after he does the shooting. Then he crosses campus and we kind of lose track of where he's going. He supposedly has a gun, has a backpack, he gets rid of the gun, and he has to run and make his getaway. Right? Well, that's the part of the story where he actually comes in here somewhere. We put gun down for the house with a chicken coop where he gets rid of his gun, right? I say it's the remodel house next door. There's a big fence here. But however you believe, Ian Carroll went and videoed the gun. Greg Melton, the Paramount Tactical, went and visited the gun, said this is where the gun. I said it was a little bit to the house over with the ROTC remodeling house. I think this is where the whole thing was practiced for the first week. But we know pretty much the story to right here. This is pretty much all you've been given. And then we know that the killer makes his, and I'll use we don't have the expensive markers yet from the chisel tip markers from the NVIDIA markers. So if somebody's looking to make a contribution here to the neighborhood news, you can do chisel tip markers. You might be able to see this. Here's the story we have so far. And the point I'm making is you are getting the middle of the story. You're not getting the beginning. You're not getting the end. Okay. So we know Tyler's here. I'll do it this way. Tyler's here. We don't see him making the shot, right? That's pretty important to leave out in the middle of the story, right? We see him running across here, across the roof. We see him rolling here, right? And then we see him crossing campus, right? Pretty much everybody in America has seen that a couple thousand times, right? So we're pretty familiar with the middle of the story. What we don't see is where does he put the gun? Is it over here where Ian and Greg Melton say it is? Or is it over here in the burning bush? We disagree about 20 feet. The only reason I say it's on this side of that is there's a big fence right here. If I'm escaping, I don't want to trespass and maybe run into a dog or get shot, right? I want to go where I know a house is being remodeled where people have been coming and going for months. But that's just, we can argue about that later. But the key here is the getaway, right? He gets somehow in here. He goes behind the ROTC house. This is the ROTC house that'll come back into the story with the tunnel and the parking garage. And then he runs, right? He runs behind the Phil Lyman houses. There's 4 Phil Lyman houses where they're all relatives. They own this whole street, right? And you see him kind of acting like he's walking here on the getaway. And then you see him running this direction, right? This is 800 West. All right. That's the middle of the story you see. Okay. So you're going to say, well, I got it. I know, I'll fill in the blanks. He's running to his car. He's a lone gunman. He doesn't have any help, right? Well, that's where the story falls apart. Their story falls apart because he doesn't run to his car. As a matter of fact, his car is only seen over here, way over here. The Dodge Challenger is only seen over here, going that way, right? No other hits. We've looked for 40 days. We've looked for 40 days all over this map of where he may have parked the car, and we don't see parking the car anywhere. Knocking on all these houses all up and down here, no hits. The only thing we have is car moving, Dodge Challenger, right, in that direction one time, meaning, and this is where the AI whisperer comes in, hey, if you only have one car moving that direction over 40 days, it's probably somebody dropped him off. That's why it accounts that he's walking back in this direction. When we first see him at 8 o'clock in the morning, we see his car a few minutes before. So the car was there a minute ago, but he couldn't go too far. But yet when we look all around within walking distance, we can't find the car parked, meaning somebody kept driving it somewhere, meaning an accomplice.
Meaning no lone shooter.
Meaning no lone shooter. And that's why they don't show you where he parked the car, because it didn't get parked. This is the first insight the AI whisperer had, is if you haven't found it after 40 days and you've walked it all, you've looked at all the cameras and so forth, it didn't stop. It dropped him off here, right where the camera is, the first camera that we see at 8 o'clock in the morning.
but he supposedly drives up from St. George, and we never see him. We never see that car again. Okay. Now, if somebody is an accomplice, like Tyrone just mentioned, they could drive the car over here and pick him up on the way out. Easy, right? That's easy. So, but that's an accomplice. That's a second person. Now, interestingly enough, Phil Lyman and others have said that there was sightings of an accomplice driving a car. And if you add a second person to this story, everything checks out. They're here dropping him off in the morning at 8 o'clock. Also, a clothes change happens between 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock, and then they're picking him up after the shooting. So now the story makes sense, but you have to add a second person to pick him up, like Tyrone said, and there goes your lone shooter. And that's the part why they've cut this out. Now, let me show you. Let's wind the clock back to the start of the story. So we know the current story is wrong, right? There has to be an accomplice. So let me tell the story with an accomplice added. Okay, 8 o'clock. That's where the car is seen. He's seen walking down this street. This street above campus is called 925, right? He's seen walking down, 925. Right about here, this street turns, and it turns into 725. But you can just think of the 25s. He's walking the 25s. He's a dead man walking, right? He's on death row, right? Death Row Records.
Well, they definitely want him dead now.
Yeah, I mean, he's looking at it. So Green Mile, the Green Mile is about walking as a dead man. So anyway, he's walking 9:25 in the morning at 8 o'clock, green shorts, maroon top, black hat, black sunglasses on his brim of his head. And he's walking this way down to the end of that street. Then he turns the corner, comes down here to 800, and he walks all the way down 800. Again, shorts, maroon top, going by TMZ camera 1 and TMZ camera 2. Here's the tunnel, right? We never see him go in the tunnel with his green shorts, right? We never see him go in the tunnel. And here's the parking garage. We never see him go in the parking garage. Okay, we don't know actually if he did that or not. Okay, so in his practice run. So that's all we know that happened in that run. Right? We know 2 hours later. Now, there are other researchers who say that didn't happen at 8 o'clock, that happened at 10 o'clock. Right? And therefore, the car could have been farther away. He could have parked the car farther away. It still doesn't explain the escape. Still doesn't explain the escape. So you still have to account for two people. Now, here's the 10 o'clock walk with the Mauser in his leg, right? Remember the gun in his leg and he's limping? We don't see this part of 925 where he's limping. We don't see this part of 725 where he's limping. Where we pick up the limping is right here at about 725, down to 800, down through the tunnel. That's where we get that one hit here, camera hit here. Then he goes underneath the tunnel in the parking garage, and he's got that second hit here. Okay. Then we don't see anything. We don't know how he got to this roof. I think he gets to the roof by going this way and going up the stairs here, but we'll see. We don't have that camera. We don't see him again until here, 3.
Is this him going down the tunnel?
Well, yeah, that's him supposedly, but to me, that looks like somebody else. I don't know. That's him going down the tunnel, supposedly.
It's kind of hard to see his facial features in this picture.
It looks like Robbie Hill. It doesn't really look like Tyler.
There's another
closer picture than that.
Look at this one.
Yeah, different backpacks, right? Different person. So there's all kinds of problems here with saying it's one person, because Tyler's already made a change now, and he's got clothes he has to get rid of. He has to change back into the maroon and shorts. He's got to store these. But my point here is we've got him going from here, from 3 to 4, where he crosses campus. We have a video of that. And then 5, we have him running, and we lose him about right here. Right? So my point is, if you have him, if potentially, if he, after he walked this the first time, he could have went back and got his car and then pre-positioned his car all the way in this direction. But then we would have gotten a hit on the Charger. We would have got a hit on the Charger while he was doing his first walk on a camera somewhere over here. And after he pre-positioned the Charger over here, we would have another camera hit. We don't. Where we get the Charger camera hit is about 3 miles away at City Hall 20 minutes later, which is crazy. I don't think you'll be able to see this because we don't have expensive chisel tip, but we don't get a hit over here at City Hall till 20 minutes later. There's no way he could have got back here to get his car and get there in 20 minutes. And there's no way he wouldn't have got a camera hit if he had pre-positioned his car along this very busy road with a lot of cameras. So what we're left with is a team. Go ahead.
My question is these cameras, if they're able to take photographs from way up in space and have absolute resolution, are we not getting the real camera views, or we're getting some cloudy image to look at? Meanwhile, there really is a better picture that's there because the technology's there, that we should be able to see these people's eyeballs and things if we want to.
Yeah.
And any of these cameras. So so are they deceiving us by giving us these cloudy and difficult to determine pictures to look at?
Yeah. Well, a good point is when he's running here, we can't see his face. And there's a good point when he's going in the tunnel, he can't really see. It looks like somebody else. When you get a speeding ticket with a red light camera or a red light camera picture, they have a close-up of your face. They also have a close-up of your license plate, right? In all of these camera hits here, not one license plate is shown. Not one license.
And that's what needs to be investigated, investigate the investigation.
Yeah, well, that's why we're in business. And to our credit here, we're in St. George publishing the video in the afternoon before Tyler ever gets back to St. George. Now that has to give you a little bit of pause when you see people putting out a video and saying he's got to come through here soon. That tells people that, hey, Utah's a big place and it's 3.5 hours away, and we're in St. George that afternoon. So that probably caused some change of plan. But anyway, great question, Mark. Why are we getting such crappy videos? So what we decided to do was to say, look, we're through probabilistic thinking, through probabilistic modeling, and it's actually something that comes from the tech space. Through probabilistic modeling, that's how we're going to analyze all this film. We're going to get hours and hours and hours from the city of Orem. We're going to have hours and hours from Utah Valley. Some people are saying, oh, we got the Jack Posobiec. I saw Jack on with, I think it was Greg Hughes saying, oh, we're going to, or maybe it was Stephen Gardner saying, oh, we're going to use their phone. We're going to track their phone. What if he didn't turn the phone on? Or what if it's a burner phone? They say it's not. But what if he didn't turn on the phone before the tunnel? What if he turned the phone off before the shot? You're not going to get any of that. So the cameras are going to be very important. They say, oh, we're going to have all the phones for all the data fencing. But if I just want to let my person know, hey, this is the point of no return, the tunnel. Once I go into the tunnel, we're in. We're going to make the shot, right? And expect to pick me up back here in 10 minutes. You be there. Don't make me wait on that corner. That's who he's communicating with most probably. So my point is, with this probabilistic modeling, you're saying, well, why are you probabilistically modeling? The reason why we're doing that is to get through the data. If we had to go through every car that went through Orem in the last, in that 24-hour period of time, and then map them to where all those cars went, this is a very busy road right here, right? We're probably not going to get that. We're just going to have a huge data problem, right? But if we can say, hey, focus in over here at this time, right? If you remember, there was a dark van that basically does a kind of a wink right here as he's walking down this road at about 12:15, right before he makes this walk. And it's kind of like that last nod. Yeah, the Mauser walk down. Yeah, let's do the Mauser walk. Let's walk. Yeah, if we got the video, then the Mauser walk. Let's show 'em the Mauser walk. But you'll see in the Mauser walk, you'll see, first of all, if he's up here over on this side, and this is a straight line to the assassination, the only reason to go this way, the only reason to go over here is diversion. The only reason to go by these cameras here and this long walk rather than this short walk that's guarded by foliation, the only reason to do such an obvious walk this way is for the cameras. And remember here we go. This is about 12:15. Right now,
Because you can see him limping.
yeah. Now remember, right there where those bougainvillea are, or whatever those purple things are, that's where he comes in from behind there. He doesn't have to make this walk out in the middle of the open street here, right? He has this walk available to him, which is covered by fencing and so forth, and he can get quickly into a building. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just wondering if he's not carrying a Mauser, that maybe he hurt himself when he jumped off the roof, and he's just limping because, he hurt his leg or something on the way down. I can't see how you can put a gun in your leg and walk.
They did a timestamp on this. So this is, I think, about 12:15 going this way. And then the timestamps do line up with him going under the tunnel and then into the parking garage. If you want to find the walk he does on this street, which was the second set of videos that was released, I think they were like, people are going to put these two videos together and figure out that he had to have somebody helping him. That's what they're trying to get away from is we can see your typing. I don't know if that's good or bad. Anyway, there you go. So, I mean,
Seeing the process.
yeah, you can see how the sausage is made. So my point is we have to get these cameras to show you the start of the story. Unless you know the true start of the story, where the car was parked or who dropped him off and who dropped him off, you're not going to know the whole story. It's sort of like knowing the team. And if you don't know who picked him up, you don't know the whole story. It's sort of like the Wizard of Oz without the Tin Man, without the, the straw, without all the characters other than Dorothy, and you just get a little snippet of Dorothy. No, we want the whole team to be known right from the start, the middle, and the end. So we're trying to get cameras, right? Knocking on doors has not worked so far because the car wasn't parked. So right now we're looking at who are the most likely team members. And if you haven't, where are the messages? Where is the evidence to show that there's team? And we've looked at this Ermaya person. We know that he communicated with her in these Discord messages. We know he's had a relationship. We know her group, Armed Queers, which is this arming of Antifa, arming people that are transgender with all these guns. She runs that, and she ran a big meeting down in St. George in 2023. So there's at least a 2-year relationship here. And she is potentially seen by a few witnesses, or at least a female accomplice. And they're talking about the gun, right? And they seem to have foreknowledge of the assassination. Go ahead, Mark. Okay. But my point here is they're not talking about the weather. They're not talking about sports. They're not talking about all these other things. What they're talking about is the assassination. What they're talking about is some foreknowledge, some pre-crime, some presaging of the fact that Charlie Kirk's going to be dead. Go ahead.
Talking about the vehicle, you have like OnStar. Is it possible with the vehicle bin that you could, find this car and be able to determine where it had been driving around?
Yes.
I can see with my car. I mean, it keeps track of where I've driven and how many times I've driven over a section of road.
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So he was on. Okay. So Mark's question was, do they have an OnStar like GM cars have OnStar? I can't remember what the Japanese cars have a similar service. Dodge has some kind of similar service. I can't remember what it is. It's not OnStar. So what Mark is saying is, where's that data source? You can turn those on and turn those off. I've just known from a couple of different investigations, you can turn them on.
Yeah, but like GM, the note holder. Okay, you can turn it off, but like the note holder, you're still gonna know where that car is.
Right.
He's gonna be able to repossess it.
That's
You're
right.
not gonna hide from it. So as far as they can find that car.
Yeah.
And they can determine where that car has been.
I agree with that. And here's the walk. Oh, this is great, Tyrone. Here's the walk down. Oh, yeah. If you back that up, here's the walk he makes down 800 south, right? So we know he also walked this distance. The part everyone is saying is, oh, well, he walked this distance in the morning in his shorts. So did he really do a Mauser walk that whole length here? I don't think so. I think somebody drops him off here in that van. And you'll see the van stop really briefly at this corner by there. It's the van stopping. So we think that that van is the one to look for, right? So this is a matter of, here he comes down the street, and you see me on my YouTube walk this. This is downhill. He's coming down this hill. He just went by 725. He just went by here, and he's walking downhill this way. And now watch this nod or wink that he gets from the van. This is super slow-mo. Got the Mauser walk going. Not that white one, but it's coming up.
They're even mentioning that he's dragging his leg.
Would you accept this type of camera work for millions of dollars of investment? You can't see shit from it other than, it's a shadow.
Right.
It's
very,
my belief is that there's better quality video of these scenes here that we're not being allowed to see.
are you going to be able to have him go to the corner so we see the
Okay, yeah, I'll speed it up a little bit.
well, you don't have to speed it up. I just want to see if he goes to the corner and then you see this dark van, give him a nod.
Yeah, this isn't the raw video. This is like a investigators looking at it, but eventually they let the video play to the corner.
Yeah.
That's why I put the CC on, because he's saying some stuff too.
They're saying he looks like he's taking a phone call and then he puts the phone back in his back pocket. Now, when he gets to
he is holding his hand up to his ear.
Yeah. When he gets to this corner here, this is where I think he is met on the way out, on the exit, right? Right about this corner right here. And if you're actually going to go kill somebody right now and you want to get out of there, you're making sure that that guy's going to be right here when you're ready to go. So watch this van when he meets this guy. It should be coming up here if you play it forward. Right as he crosses that telephone pole, right there, the van makes a quick stop. It, to me, looks like, I don't know, is that a Ford Explorer? Kind of a two-tone. That grill should be distinctive. Maybe that's a Chevy Suburban. I don't know what it is. But that, after talking to the AI Whisperer, that's the car we need to look for, not the Dodge Challenger.
Should there be a handoff sometime there?
Well, it's so quick. It's so quick that I think it's more of a, hey, we're doing this. You know, like there's a go, no go here. And like, okay, I'm going to go get in position because that car has to.
It looks like an Explorer almost.
It looks like a Ford Explorer too. But see how that has the longer window here?
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's done the analysis on what kind of car that is.
We just need to ask a car guy. He wouldn't recognize it.
Yeah, if you take a snapshot, if you take a snapshot and put it into Chat GPT, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and take a snapshot of that, and don't move it right yet. This is live, how we use ChatGPT in America here. And then I'll just put it in ChatGPT and just do that right while we're all talking here. What type of car is this in this picture? What type of truck? What type of SUV? All right. And then we'll give you we're not going to keep our viewers waiting on this stuff. This is immediate delivery. We'll see what they say, but you can get pretty good analysis by ChatGPT. They usually analyze small changes in Chevy Suburban or GMC Yukon XL, 2015 to 2020, boxy, long extended rear quarter, typical long wheelbase of GM SUVs, chrome grille and trim.
Yeah, the Yukon's a little bit longer than the
Suburban.
the Explorer, I think.
Yeah, Yukon or a Suburban. It could be a Chevy Suburban or Yukon XL, 2015 to 2000. I can determine via trim level, LTZ or Denali if you would like me to do that. Yes, I would like you to do that. Sure, you're working for me, right?
For now.
For now, until the robot farm, until we all become pet treats. So my point is that for our data analysis, there's literally, I don't know, I've walked that street so many times I can't count, but I mean, I'd say there's a car every 10 seconds. In rush hour, there's a car every 5 seconds. So we have a massive data problem if we're not looking for the right car. Especially when we get into that car going somewhere else, like.
And it definitely
St.
slowed
George.
down.
Definitely.
Every other car is just, zipping right by. So,
And they also kind of move over a little bit, kind of this, it's almost like they yell something to them, like good luck, or, go get a,
like you were saying, maybe a handoff or sending a message.
Yeah. It looks, I don't see him going to the window like there's a handoff, but
yeah, because he's standing behind the pole when the car passes.
yeah. But it's saying here, it looks like projector style headlights, C-shaped, were introduced in 2015, distinctive to the Denali trim package, the Denali trim package. That helps a lot in terms of data reduction, right? That means we can then tell our AI engine, and I've talked to the AI whisperer all last night about how to do this, because we're going to have so many hours and hours and hours of footage. But if we can hone in on the right vehicle and the right vehicle set, we got a lot better chance of getting through the work, because it's going to be a tremendous amount of work. Go ahead, Tyrone. Do you have something that you want to throw out?
I was just looking at some of the comments.
Okay.
Deborah said, would Tyler have been at Ermaya's house in Midvale?
Could you bring up a map of Midvale? I forget where Midvale is exactly. I thought Midvale was near Salt Lake City. So I need to figure out where that is. But this is what online journalism is all about. This data fencing, like, hey, you should data fence the house where Twigs was, because Twigs had all these people coming in from all these different states. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's in Salt Lake City.
Okay. Good question. I think her house would be a very good house to data fence. The problem with data fencing, and the reason why we went with a camera out first, is because the cameras are free. Data fencing is expensive. Yeah. Data fencing is expensive. I guess I should go and ask for now Midvale's cameras, though. If I didn't know that that we might get a hit there, but that's a great idea. And that's citizen journalism, right? It's easy for me to ask for the cameras. What we have to do is make sure we ask for the right vehicles, right? And make sure that our AI isn't overwhelmed, because when you overwhelm the AI, it kind of like, it just takes forever to get an answer. Go ahead.
Also, Arthur Stone had asked earlier, could the car have been inside a residential garage for pickup?
I looked into that. The remodel house is perfect for that. The remodel house, there was
Because it was unoccupied at the time.
it was occupied like a lot of contractors coming and going.
Oh, okay, but nobody living there right now.
No, but nobody's living there. That's why I also thought this would be the place. He said he practiced for a week. That's also the place I thought he might have practiced. So, see, the FBI's calling us, trying to interrupt us. Was that Aaron? Oh, Aaron's calling. Yeah, maybe Aaron's saying something's bad with the broadcast. Go ahead.
Oh, he would just mention his mic wasn't on.
Oh, okay. All right.
Technical
His mic
issue.
wasn't on. Oh,
Yeah,
I got
technical
you.
issues.
Aaron was setting the.
But I already secretly fixed that.
Oh, yeah. I saw you do that. Okay. All right. So, what I love about doing these sessions is every time we do it, we get a great idea or two or three, like the Denali. I would be interested to see a compound search of Denali with Tyler Robinson on the web and see what kind of hits we get for Denali on Tyler Robinson or GM Yukon. There has to be like an online discussion group of what car that was. I think that car is going to be really important.
Charles had said that's a custom Oldsmobile Chevy was his guess.
Charles Heald, is that Charles?
Yeah.
Oh,
Long time viewer.
yeah, no, I know. Well, and that's the other thing that we'll have to ask the AI whisperer is, can we put in a set of images, even though, like Mark said, they're so fuzzy and they're like taking it from Mars. Can we put in a set of images and have it have a fuzzy search? No pun intended. And that's something I'd have to have the AI whisperer weigh in on, because we don't want to put it in too tight and then have it be just the wrong make or model. Go ahead.
Is it possible again with
Is this mic on? Sorry, go ahead.
Is it possible with the technologies we talked about earlier, like OnStar and that, okay, that you can go and just look for Chevy Denali's on that day and just see where those vehicles were, and track those cars?
I'm going to ask that question to ChatGPT, because that's a great question. Is it possible that OnStar for GM, you can filter if you're law enforcement or an investigator looking for a particular make and model? If OnStar will allow you to do that somehow through the numbering scheme or through its filtering search methods, that you could find a particular vehicle at a particular place at a particular time. We'll find out. We'll see what ChatGPT says, because that would help us tremendously. If we get a hit for a Denali at that corner at 12:20 or 12:15, then we can just start following it from there. And that, I know all the GM vehicles use OnStar. So that's, and whether or not you use it or turn it on, you can get, yeah, unless you paid for it, right? Unless you paid for it. Because yes, the short answer is no. OnStar will not make the make and model public to sweep across its subscriber feed. They can locate a specific GM vehicle. They can for law enforcement, but only under limited conditions, usually when an investigator supply a specific vehicle identification number for a VIN number, or the subscriber count info or license plate, or it's confirmed missing or involved in a missing persons. So there's a whole OnStar request. So interesting though. It is possible, technically, not possible.
Not at our level, but
Not at law enforcement. There is. Yeah. So that's a great question. So I'll just go to the chat and go to chat questions right now. And we can take,
Yeah, chat, send us some questions.
yeah. I don't know if I can rebroadcast this, but I think I will. I think I'll take this and upload it and then rebroadcast it on Twitter for the chat. Even though it's a whiteboard story, to me, and this is NVIDIA, they feel like the whiteboards are easier to follow rather than slideware. You know, we're going to show you 6 slides in a row and you're going to have to remember the previous slide, you know, or the previous 4 slides I showed you, versus the story kind of developing all in front of you on one storyboard
Mhm.
is easier for me to remember, you know, where the holes are in the story. So, can we get a beat and melody to go along with the silly walk? I don't remember if Monty Python had set it to music or not.
I'm not sure.
He did a funny, John Cleese did a funny thing with his voice. He'd go, hey, every time he would, you know, throw his head back and do the silly walk. Yeah. So I don't know how many, this is to the Twitter that is owned by Neighborhood News,
Right. And we're on YouTube.
and we're on YouTube. Okay. So we'll
Charles asks, we have plane data.
yeah, we have a lot of plane data. Now this changes the story. This is changing the story from this location. Now, how does Tyler get back to St. George? And we have this plane as a spy. There's 2 spy planes in this story. One spy plane makes 3 round trips in one day, which is a lot of round trips to the Navajo Indian Reservation, right? Or right to the front gates. Now that's either because there's a lot of BYU contributors that have their colony of wives and they're living polygamous lives and they're riding the, you know, unique express, and they can't all be transported in one go. So the plane needs to make 3 round trips, or else there's a huge run on Navajo by Navajo women of triple lash eyeliner, you know, in one day. I can't even imagine how expensive it is to run that jet. The call letters are N888KG, but I knew a lot of pilots, and a plane like that, sometimes $50,000 an hour to run that plane. Remember, this is only a 3-hour drive. So you could just load up a truck with the triple lash, with the unique triple lash, and the woman's going to have to wait maybe a couple hours later rather than getting it by plane. And then she gets her triple lash. So really 3 round trips in one day. Really? That's odd. And this plane, this unique plane, multi-level marketing, I've never heard of them. I've talked to a whole bunch of women that have never heard of it. Seems like it's a front. New Skin is also in Provo. They're also a sponsor of the BYU multi-level marketing.
That's like Amway.
It is like
There's a pyramid.
it is. It's exactly what it is. That is exactly what unique is, and it's how guns and drugs have been laundered since Amway, since Blackwater, since Eric Prince, since Betsy DeVos. You know, it's just there. It is there's an 888 KG. It's also a Bombardier, the same plane that Paul Whelan had when he was running the Russian girls back and forth from Canada for the Trump, Trump, Russia. So it's a military plane as well. It also has electronic warfare capability from the Canadian Air Force. The Canadians use the Bombardier. So it's just weird that it makes 3 round trips that day. And the last trip that it makes at 6:50 p.m., they turn off their transponder for the whole way, 2.5 hours where it's dark, the last trip. And who do we have at the Dairy Queen getting his last blizzard before he gets on the plane? Tyler Robinson at that Dairy Queen. So we're trying to get more camera hits for the Dairy Queen, but that's right now. The plane is flying to Page, Arizona, which is on the front cusp, the northwest corner of the Navajo Indian Reservation. Their foundation is called Navajo Strong. So again, it's like George Soros, for the Open Society Foundation, and an open pit for money to be poured in, to be laundered so they can do Antifa, So what does this say? I can't read it.
I was trying to find a better post about the plane. This is just from Facebook. I can read some of it if you like.
I basically said what it said.
Yeah, the
plane goes dark. Plane goes dark.
They said the jet transponder goes dark midair, no radio signal, no flight path. no destination logged.
And that's on the second trip. On the third trip is completely dark, right? So that's not good. So go ahead, Mark.
So I'm assuming now that it's probably easier or preferential to like launder money on these tribal lands because you're kind of like in a different sovereignty. And
That's right. You remember Wounded Knee, which is the FBI agents aren't allowed to go in. Federal government's not allowed to go in. That's why Jack Abramoff did all of his Casino Jack, Iran Contra laundering on Indian reservations. And this is, remember, Hunter Biden had the Seneca Indian Nation that he did his money laundering for Ukraine. So is it just another one of those deals where you use the sovereignty of the Indian nation to launder your money for whatever your illegal activity is? Yeah.
And you could just give them a little payment.
Yeah. The tribal elders will take a nice car, SUV. They won't have to accept any money. They'll just get a lease.
Look, we're
Does
not
it
trying to say they're all
disappear?
corrupt.
Is this a way to make it
but there are
disappear?
corrupt people.
Yes.
Is this a way to make that money like disappear though? Because you're running it through this, like reservation.
Well,
You're like the traceability of it.
Yeah. Cash to chips to cash is what it's called. And you go into the casino, you have bushel baskets full of cash. You say, give me chips. I want to go play Baccarat or whatever. You go to the high roller table and you play, an hour. This is what the guy was doing in Las Vegas right before the Las Vegas shooting. Remember, he was playing 50 hands of poker. He was playing 5 hands of poker at a time. I can't remember the guy's name at Las Vegas shooting. But then when you lose a little bit or you win a little bit, then you go back to the chip window and you cash in all your chips and they give you new cash. It has nothing to do with the old cash that you got. It's cash to chips to cash is the laundering method. You don't need to do Bitcoin or anything like that. You can just do it all cash to chips to cash. That goes all the way back to Meyer Lansky and all even before then. So,
well, Bitcoin has a record.
Yeah, Bitcoin is not a good way to do it because there's a track and trace.
Right. It's supposed to be transparent.
Right.
Even though people still do lots of illegal things with it.
Yeah. It's not transparent. Blockchain is not. Yeah.
Well, you can see all the transactions of a wallet.
Yeah.
But you still don't know who is doing all the transactions.
But law enforcement can. That's the part that I know there's a backdoor built into these things. And because I worked with Dmitry Alperovich and I know that they build in these back doors. There's a back door in all your software on your PC and Mac for your antivirus. That was to basically get all the URLs you look at when you're not working. So
also, Aaron says, isn't that Mohegan Sun Casino near there?
Mohegan Sun's in Connecticut. I don't think Mohegan Sun is in Navajo Indian Reservation, but the Navajo Indian Reservation does have a lot of. I remember when they were building the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, and that's what really cut into Donald Trump's 3 casinos in Atlantic City, because people from New York would go south to Atlantic City, and then they could get on the train at Grand Central Station and not have to take New Jersey Penn, which is horrible. They could get on the nice train and go to Connecticut and gamble in Mohegan Sun. Mohegan Sun's a gigantic casino in Connecticut. That's also another money laundering.
How much money you gotta pay like when you win in New Jersey, as opposed to like if you won out west? I mean, with the taxes and all of that,
a lot more. The mob take in New Jersey the rake in New Jersey was much worse than the rake in Connecticut. They took this tribe of the Pequot Indians and they got them down to like 8 people. So they had a whole thousands and thousands. They finally got them down to 8 people. That's the one that rechartered the Pequot Indian Nation. Mm-hmm. And that's the ones, half of them couldn't even speak English, Yeah. But they used that to get their gambling license, Jack Abramoff. So, okay. I think that's all the questions. The wrap here, we're going to wrap it unless anybody else has a question. And I'll take any, but the wrap here is all stories have a beginning, middle, and end, not necessarily in that order. If somebody's just telling you the middle of a story, they're lying to you, probably. They're telling you a false narrative. They're feeding you lies. It's Donnie O'Sullivan, probably. It's CNN, probably. It's Jeff Zucker, probably. or somebody who knows them. It's some kind of no kings, Soros money laundered deal, that dark money that's told you the story, and somehow they're funded. Go ahead.
We did have one other comment from Mary Baxter.
Okay.
It says, check out the huge 2-story tall poster that was adorning the windows of the building just behind Charlie Kirk's tent/stage. On it, you'll see a young man who looks identical to the shooter.
Yeah. Well,
just more
do you want to
tidbits
bring
to
up
look
the
at.
video and see if we can find that? I don't recall that.
Oh, you mean like a video of the event?
Yeah. But that's
I've actually never watched the shooting myself.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't want to see somebody die.
There was the pictures, the pictures that
Yeah.
were shown of that scene, like where there was no blood.
Yeah.
And the only thing I just bring this up because it kind of hit my mind. Remember in the first Star Wars movie, okay, and R2-D2 had this, message that was inside of him from Princess Leia. Okay, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. And remember how this 3-dimensional, like, Princess Leia appeared,
little hologram,
right?
Yeah.
Something that was Charlie a hologram? Was there something there that it looked like it? Is the technology there for that? Just another one of these off the wall.
We had so many people tell us about holograms with Charlie, and they renamed that 1977 first movie Star Wars: A New Hope, I think, or A Hope Is Born, or A New Hope. Yeah, they didn't know that they were even going to be successful with that first movie. Lucas didn't. And then it was such a big hit because nobody had ever seen anything like that with the black screen that but then it took 5 years, I think, to make Empire Strikes Back. And then it was another 5 years for Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah, that was the longest running sequels. They weren't in any hurry. They said, oh, well, the first computer that they used, it was like, had the power of a coffee maker. I mean, it wasn't very powerful. They just had to run these simulations for so long to figure out the paths of, I went to the Oscar Museum and they had a thing about it. It's good to go to the Oscar Museum and see how they make movies, but movie making has come so far with compute power in the last, 40 years in my lifetime. So holograms potentially. Yeah, potentially.
It's just to explain that, or
the no blood thing.
Were we looking at a computer generated image? Too. I don't know.
The no blood thing has a lot of people like, what's up with the no blood? Yeah, it's weird. So because that was a long time ago. The Princess Leia message where
but it was just like, is that really possible to create that 3-dimensional image? Because I'm thinking about the little tent, the whole canopy that he's under. Is that part of the
projection
process?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
yeah. Food for thought.
I don't know. It's just,
Well, I didn't watch the video, but people touched him after he died, right? So
yeah, there was a whole bunch of people, but they weren't putting. One thing that anomaly is they're not putting a compress.
nobody was trying to save him.
Well,
immediately.
normally the thing at a field thing, especially neck injury, is you want to stop the bleeding.
Right.
So nobody was putting, like, taking their shirt off and putting it
Right,
on.
because we know emergency services were there.
Yeah. So why aren't you trying to stop the bleeding? Why are you bleeding him out? It's just odd. There's a whole bunch of oddities that.
or they didn't get any blood on them from that. We saw this.
Yeah.
You didn't even get a splotch on your shirt.
Yeah. It was odd. I'll say that. So, okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up right there. All stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end, not necessarily in that order. I can't remember who said it. But anyway, if somebody was only telling you the middle of a story, they're lying to you because they're deliberately keeping the start of the story out of the picture and they're keeping the end out of the picture. And sometimes that's the most important part of the picture, right? If you don't know the start and you don't know the end, you end up with 3 old men dressed up in Halloween costumes with a 13-year-old girl in the middle of a poppy field with Dorothy and the 3 characters from Wizard of Oz. I mean, that's the story. If you just go for the middle of the story of Wizard
Mhm.
of Oz, you know, and that's kind of not good. You wouldn't want your daughter in that position, right?
Not
That's
at
not
all.
telling you the story of Wizard of Oz. So my point here is, in this story of Tyler Robinson, you don't know the start, and you don't know the end. But we're going to find it out. We're going to use the most advanced AI techniques from the AI Whisperer. We're going to talk to people, use the chat GPT to identify what we're looking for. We're going to keep asking for new cities like Midvale. We're going to keep doing the data fencing, and we're going to keep on this story until you do know the start, the middle, and the end. Because you deserve it. The American people deserve it. The people all across the world deserve it. I want to thank everybody who helped make this production possible. The great Mark Buckley for providing this space. Thank you, Mark. The fans go wild. I want to thank the AI
We have a
Whisperer
button for this
for
somewhere.
our data recommendations. I want to thank Aaron Adler for all of his great input. We'll talk about uranium and Habonim Dror, and are they trying to get all the uranium out of Big Bear? Bear ears to down blend with the Russian missile uranium to get to Israel, you know, all that. And Tyrone on the controller board, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This has been a Neighborhood News production, and we'll see you all real soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.